Tafadhali usisahau kusubscribe, kulike na kushare. Kisha bonyeza alama ya kengele hapo juu ili kuweza kupata habari mbalimbali kwa wakati.
I am Queen Biseng from Cameroon. I act as a right expert for the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Decent, which is a network of diverse communities discriminated on work and decent in Africa. And communities discriminated on work and decent are one of the most discriminated, segregated, marginalized and excluded groups of communities at national level, regional level and global level. Came to the NGO Forum ahead of the African Commission, where we have already had a series of activities, which the main aim was to bring these issues in front of civil society organizations, because we know that civil society organizations, institutions, delegates come from every part of Africa, for them to actually know the existence of these communities. And the consequences of this discrimination is and not just deprivation of their social relationship, communication, education, access to health services, access to equal land and housing, access to quality. We hope the commissioners and the chairpersons during the deliberations are going to actually adopt this solution, which is going to be like the beginning of something of a hope for the communities discriminated on work and decent in Africa.
We have seen, the name is Paul Divakar. I am the convener, global convener of the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Decent. I myself come from the community, which is a similar community which is existing in Asia. We call ourselves Dalits. People have pushed us outside and they called us as untouchables. Map of discrimination is very clear across Africa. And in all these countries, there is evidence that discrimination based on the social origin, where I am born, is still very existent in all these countries. And we have asked the African Commission here, and we are also taking this issue to the UN, saying that we need a framework which identifies this issue as a human rights violation. Recognize these people as human beings and their rights as human rights violation. And the African Commission to take cognizance of this and have a working group with a special rapporteur to take studies and where this whole issue exists across Africa. And the entire NGO forum, which met before the African Commission, has passed a resolution on the 18th saying that the African Commission needs to take cognizance of this.
My name is Johannes. I'm based in Colombia, in Bogota. On the one hand, what we see with all these communities that are discriminated on the basis of work and descent is that slavery is a key part of their historic backgrounds. So we are here this time at the African Commission of Peoples and Human Rights to advocate for Africa in particular, but also to visibilize that this is not a regional issue. It's present all across the regions, but this is a global issue present in Africa, Latin America, Asia, as well as Europe. Those communities are not indigenous communities. They are not part of the indigenous caucuses or groups, and the indigenous people also see themselves as a slightly different group. So they are part of a kind of a group that doesn't identify with indigenous, but has in part their own language, their own culture, and their own traditions that mostly originate from the African continent. And so they are very much integrated in society in a way that they want to participate, they want to have their rights, but that through the continued invisibilization, they have not been able to do so. Since this year, as I said, Brazil has counted them in the census, which is a huge step ahead, but the continued invisibilization is still there, and there is not a notion of indigenous people there. It's a different kind of classification that comes as the communities, as they're discriminated based on the work and descent, that comes from the ancestral part of slavery, of occupational slavery that they were performed.
Tafadhali usisahau kusubscribe, kulike na kushare, kisha bonyeza alama ya kengele hapo juu ili kuweza kupata habari mbalimbali kwa wakati.